All right, we acknowledge the land upon which we work and live, the First Nations and their nations, and recognize their connection to the land, water, and community. We continue to learn, listen, and grow together. And with saying that, I'll approve the agenda, please.
Be it hereby resolved that the agenda for the October 15th, 2025 regular meeting of council be adopted as printed and circulated.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Banbury, second by Councillor Young. All in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's carried. Any disclosure of peculiar interest? Not see any. Just want to make sure, I know we're having some issues with our mics. Sometimes people can't hear, so if you can't hear, please let us know, and we'll make sure we speak up a little louder. So we started off our day at 10 o'clock this morning. We do every year, we do a capital project road tour, so that way we can go around and see what staff is proposing for us at budget time. So we did that this morning, and we're down to minutes. If we can have that, please.
Be it hereby resolved that the minutes of the October 1st, 2025 regular meeting of council be adopted as printed and circulated.
Have a move and a second, please. Moved by Councillor Barnes, second by Councillor Young. All in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's carried. Any business arising from the minutes? Not seeing any. And our first public meeting, please.
Be it hereby resolved that council move into committee of adjustment at 4:01 p.m. and further that Mayor Peterson chair the public meeting.
Okay, can I get a mover and a second, please? Moved by Councillor Banbury, second by Councillor Barnes. All in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's carried. I'm officially opening the public meeting, which is being held under the Planning Act for the purpose of hearing minor variance applications, allowing any person in attendance the opportunity to make a presentation to council. I would like to ask those in attendance that if they wish to receive notification of the committee's decision, they should sign the sign-in sheet on the shelf by the door at the rear of the room. It's right where you come in. I would like to advise those in attendance that the Ontario Land Tribunal has the power to dismiss an appeal if an appellant has not provided the committee with oral submissions at a public meeting or written submission before the decision has been rendered by the committee. I would now ask committee members to state any disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof, and I'm not seeing any. Next is consideration of the minutes from the previous committee meeting. Does any member have any comments or revisions to the minutes presented? Not seeing any. Can I have a verbal motion and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Banbury, second by Councillor Young. All in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's carried. There's one application being heard today, MVA 05-25 for Thel Simpson and Joseph Kilt for a property located at 746378 Township Road 4. And Dustin, if you could present that, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon, members of council, staff, and those in attendance here today. The application before you concerns a property that is approximately 2.9 acres in size and is currently zoned limited agricultural, otherwise known as A1. On the property as it exists today is a 979 square foot single detached dwelling with a detached garage, a shed, and an agricultural building as well. The proposal before you is to permit a detached additional residential unit. So we're only here today to allow for the unit. There's no additional variances being requested, and the reason they need to ask for a variance in this case is because they are zoned A1. And in our zoning bylaw, only A1 and A2 are the zones that require permission from council for a detached ARU. So that's why we're here today. In terms of comments that have been received by internal departments and agencies, none have been, nor have any comments been received as a result of a public circulation to surrounding landowners. Staff have reviewed the application against the official plan and the zoning bylaw, and we do believe that it meets the intent of the official plan, specifically the fact that the proposed detached ARU is less than 50% in terms of square footage than that of the principal dwelling. It uses the existing entrance that the principal dwelling uses, and it's less than 30 meters of separation between the principal dwelling and the proposed detached ARU. So for those reasons, we are here today to recommend support, and happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you very much. Does the applicant have any comments or anything to say concerning the application, the recommendation, or conditions outlined in the report? No? See any? Do any members of the committee have any questions or comments they wish to make? No, not seeing any. Is there any persons from the audience who wish to provide comments in support or opposition of this application? And if so, please state your name and address as you rise to speak to this issue. See anything? Okay, is there a verbal motion from committee to accept the application with the conditions noted or to deny the application? Okay.
Accept.
Okay, moved by Councillor Banbury, seconded by Councillor Young. All in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's carried. Okay, and that was unanimous. The business before the committee has now been completed, and there is a written resolution for committee to rise.
Be it hereby resolved that the committee rise at 4:06 PM and that open meeting council resumes.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Barnes, second by Councillor Young. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed, if any, and that's carried. Okay, and that's unanimous. Okay, and another resolution, please.
Be it hereby resolved that council rise and go into a public meeting under the Planning Act to consider an application for zone change ZN 1-2506, 1909 Culinary Academy Limited, and that Mayor Peterson chaired the public meeting.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Young, second by Councillor Banbury. All in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's carried. Okay, I am officially opening the public meeting, which is being held under the Planning Act for the purpose of hearing an application for zone change in the Township of Blandford-Blenheim. I would like to advise those in attendance that the Ontario Land Tribunal has the power to dismiss an appeal if an appellant has not provided the council with oral submissions at a public meeting or written submission before a bylaw is passed. Pursuant to recent changes under Bill 185, appeals are now generally limited to the applicant, a registered owner, a public body, specific persons, or the minister. I would like to ask those in attendance that if they wish to receive notification of council's decision, they should sign the sign-in sheet by the door at the rear of the room. Please include your email address to receive future correspondence. I will now ask council members to state any disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof. I'm not seeing any. There is one application being considered today, an application for zone change ZN 1-25-06, 1909 Culinary Academy Limited for lands located on the west side of Trusser Road between Township Road 8 and Oxford Road 29, and are municipally known as 5183 Trusser Road, Township of Blandford-Blenheim. And Dustin, if you could present that, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The application before you concerns a property that is approximately 1 acre in size and currently split zone between institutional zoning and general agricultural zoning, otherwise known as Zone I and Zone A2. On the property is an existing former schoolhouse building approximately 2,800 square feet in size, which is now currently being used as a culinary school. As some members of this council may recall, back in 2017, a similar application was brought forward to rezone the property from the I/A2 zone to an RR special zone. At the township meeting in 2017, council at that time voted to approve the application. However, subsequent to this application, it was then appealed by an adjacent landowner, which pushed us to the Ontario Municipal Board, as it was known at the time. In 2018, a decision from the OMB was rendered where the member of the OMB that sat in on this hearing determined in their opinion that the application did not follow provincial or local policy and ultimately overturned the Township Council's decision to approve the application at that time. Following that decision, the subject lands have since been sold and are now operating, as I mentioned, as a culinary school. So the proposal before you is similar to that in 2017, where they are proposing to rezone the land from A2/I to an RR special zone. However, in this case, there are two special provisions that are being requested. The first is to recognize the MDS1 deficiency that exists to the farms to the north and northeast. And the second special provision that's being proposed is to restrict any future single detached dwelling on the property to be no more than 50 meters from the front lot line. And what that would do is it would restrict any future home to be no further west than that yellow line, as you can see on plate 2. And what that yellow line signifies right now is the where the I zone ends and the A2 zone begins. So no future single detached dwelling would be able to go further west than that. In terms of comments, no concerns were received as a result of the internal and external department review and circulation. In terms of the public, I did receive some calls with questions. However, no formal comments were submitted at this time. In terms of staff's analysis, just to start off, what I would like to do is just speak briefly to MDS, as you know, that is one of the main topics on this application. So the provincial government has an MDS policy book / guideline book, whatever you want to call it. It's known as Publication 853. And in that publication, it breaks out uses into two different categories, Type A uses and Type B uses. With Type A uses, they're generally with a lower level of human occupancy or activity. So as an example, a single detached dwelling, where Type B uses are for higher human occupancy or activity. So that would be generally for like an institutional use or an industrial use or commercial use, where there are larger numbers of people that would gather on site at any given time. So I just wanted to make that clear before I continue on. In terms of the provincial planning statement, when it comes to agricultural lands, the intent is to ensure that the lands are protected for long-term use, for agricultural uses, long-term, I should say. In staff's opinion, what is being proposed here today does follow this intent. And the reason that we say that is because, as I just explained, the Type A to Type B uses. As it currently exists, the schoolhouse or the culinary school, whatever you want to call it, would be considered to be a Type B use. The proposed single detached dwelling would be considered to be a Type A use. Why is this important? Because when it comes to MDS, if it's a Type B use, you need to be double the distance away from livestock operations than that of a Type A use. And that's vice versa as well. So when it comes to MDS2, if someone were to be building a livestock facility, if there's a Type B use in the area, they got to be double the distance away than a Type A use. So in staff's opinion, by approving this application here today, what you're ultimately doing is reducing the amount of land that could be theoretically sterilized as a result of a use operating on this property. So if someone, say to the south of this property, was going to propose a new livestock operation with a Type A use operating on that property, they're going to have to be half the distance they would have to be if that was continuing on as a culinary school. So in our mind, that opens up more land for a potential livestock operation. So in staff's opinion, for both the PPS and the official plan, it is following the intent of both. And what I would point out as well is in 2022, Oxford County Council voted to approve OPA 269, which added new policies for agricultural uses in the county's official plan. And this included a policy that allowed for existing lots in agricultural areas that are currently zoned I, or institutional, commercial uses, or industrial uses, and are less than 2.5 acres in size, to be considered to be rezoned for residential uses. In this case, the subject lands is 1 acre in size, and is currently, as you can see, zoned I. So in staff's opinion, this proposal does follow the intent of the official plan in that regard. And what I would say is the purpose of adding this policy in 2002, when this OPA was presented, was to help and try and reduce existing conflict in agricultural areas. And what I mean by that is it helps to remove Type B uses from the agricultural areas and potentially replace them with Type A uses, which reduces the amount of potentially sterilized land. So that being said, we are here to recommend approval here today, but I'm happy to answer any questions that council may have at this time.
Thank you, Dustin. Are there any planning questions from council members regarding the staff report? Councilor Young.
I just had a quick question, Dustin. In here, it did say about the 2017, sorry, I'm just going to scroll back here, when it went to the OMB. And it just said here, sorry, that they found it was not compliant and opted to overturn it, but it doesn't say what wasn't compliant. Did you find any information about that in looking back at that as to what they stated? they thought wasn't compliant.
Specifically, no. However, broadly, what they would be insinuating is that the proposal at the time did not meet the intent of the PPS or the official plan in their mind. So what they likely meant is that it wasn't protecting agricultural use long-term in their opinion. I'm certainly not here to debate the opinion of the board member of that time. That's their opinion. But that is likely what they would have been insinuating with that.
Any other questions from council? No, don't see any. Okay, does the applicant or agent wish to speak regarding the application? If I could just get you to state your name, please.
Yeah, my name's Bernie Martin. Thank you, Mayor Peterson and council and staff for the opportunity to be here. We have reviewed the staff report and we support the recommendations contained therein. Just to follow up on your question, Councillor Young, what has changed since 2017? A number of things have changed that now make this zone change a lot more desirable. 2017, we weren't in a housing crisis that we're in today. The provincial, what was the provincial policy statement, now the provincial planning statement, has been changed significantly in 2020, a place to grow with subsequent updates in 2024, that is now the provincial planning statement, to achieve more integrative and effective land uses. We've seen Bill 23, Bill 97, Bill 28, Bill 17, Bill 185, Bill 5, Bill 19, all geared towards increasing housing. And so the PPS has changed dramatically since 2017. As the planner mentioned, Oxford County's official plan has also changed in 2024, I believe it was. Undersized agricultural lots under 2.5 acres. The plan was changed that existing small lots that have limited tillable land are now desirable to be transitioned into residential uses rather than undersized parcels. And probably the biggest change that the planner already referred to, and as you read in your comments, Mayor Peterson, the third-party appeal process to the OLT, Ontario Land Tribunal, has also changed in 2024. Bill 185, the Cutting Red Tape to Build More Homes Act, reduces the third-party appeal mechanism to the applicant, the municipality, and the minister. So all of those are significant changes from 2017 to where we are today. So making a residential unit a much more desirable use for this property rather than a commercial use. But happy to answer any other questions.
Okay, is there any questions from council? No, I'm not seeing any. Thank you very much. Okay, are there any interested parties in attendance who wish to speak to this application? And if so, please come up and state your name, please.
I'm Doug McCurr. I'm the owner of 5139 Trust Road. I'm right next door to this property, and I'm the person that took the OMB, this township to the OMB. Yes, there are changes in the Planning Act and zoning, and you know, it's nice to have more houses. Every one of these communities in our township seems to have a new subdivision going. Do we need a new house in an agricultural area? I have 3 sons, 2 of which at least want to farm, and I want to give them that opportunity without conflict with a neighbor who may not understand anything about farming. This is the same zone issue that we had in 2017. You're going to have odor, noise, dust, all those things that are going to affect whoever lives in that property. You know, it's going to be $1 million property. I don't think you want to go and sit in your back porch to have a coffee and have me fire up my liquid manure system to agitate a 4.5 million liter lagoon. It's situated only 175 meters to the northwest of this property. Prevailing winds are from the northwest. So every time that fires up, it's going to flow over that property. There's nothing that you can do to stop it. It's farming. As I said earlier to Dustin, I said I'm the only one that seems to be worried about the person that's going to buy this property. Because I know what happens on my farm. I know the noise, I know the odor, the dust, and the smell. And if that's what, you know, township thinks is a good thing, then I'm not sure what we're supposed to be doing in the country. So we've had all these guidelines change. I looked on from the county doing their change on the official plan amendment. I looked at all the properties in the zoning map for the county. I found one that this official plan amendment actually has something to do with, and that's this property. So an official plan amendment by the county that had to go up to the province to get approved, and it only affects one property in the county. Seems like kind of odd that you'd have to go to all that trouble for one property. What happened in this township years ago was that the township would tear that building down and sell the property land back to the farm that it came from. That's what happened in 1989 on the 10th concession. There was a school there, and the farmer was forced to tear it down. He bought the school and they forced him to tear it down so it would not negatively affect farmers. So we're talking about the MDS and the amount of people that could be there. The cooking school at this point in time is operated for a couple hours a night, once or twice a month. There might be 10 people there. I don't really know. If somebody lives in this property, 2,800 square foot property that has 2 floors that are habitable, you could have 10 people living there 24/7. So the habitation would be a lot higher for that than there would be from a cooking school. So I'm, as before, I'm here to object to this. It's going to negatively affect my property. Farmers aren't allowed to do a severance anymore off their farm. MDS was brought in to prevent issues like this from happening, because farmers used to sell their lot in the country and move to town, and somebody would move out and then complain about the farm that the lot was off of. So in my opinion, of course, I'm just a farmer, but we need a whole lot of farmers, and there's lots of opportunity for houses other than out in the country.
Sorry, I was just writing some notes.
Yeah.
Yep, okay. Any questions at all from council? Nope, I'm not seeing any. Thank you. Okay, is there anybody else that wishes to come up? If you could just state your name, please, for the record.
My name is Bill Labron, and I live one property south of where this is happening. I have 2 questions for you. The first one is, what's the radius for circulation? Because I didn't receive a copy of any mailing. The only neighbor that I have between me and the Culinary Academy are groundhogs and deer.
So the Planning Act requires 120 meters from the subject land's lot lines.
And yet I'm aware that we've circulated to people in Brant County who are more than a mile away from this.
That would be news to me. I don't send out the circulation, but
Okay.
the process is the same. They would have had to contact Brant County for anybody that falls in 120 meters.
Okay, so the yellow sign was the only notice I had. You've commented in broad brush terms about the MDS, and I guess my concern is you haven't said the words out loud to us. What are you proposing? At this point in time, there's a 4.5 million liter lagoon. It's going to be how far away from this house? You must have that on your list.
Yeah, it'd be 100 meters between, 175 meters between the lagoon and the closest lot line.
And my understanding that the provincial guideline for this same thing is 600 meters.
Yeah, it's substantially more.
So less than a third of the distance, and somehow we're going to advocate that. I'm curious who's going to be on the receiving end of the lawsuit if something happens to contaminate their drinking water or affect their property negatively. It seems you're causing great exposure for the township.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the situation currently exists. It's simply recognizing the situation as it currently exists today. If that lot didn't exist already, we wouldn't be supporting it for approval, because you can't create new lots, but this is a lot of record as it currently exists today. The zone change that's being proposed today is recognizing the existing situation.
Which had to be modified to make it into a legal lot after the last attempt at rezone.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
this lot as we see it today is not historically how it was. It's been, you've made an adjustment in the parameters and in the dimensions of this lot to make it a legally conforming lot. It was not, last time, wasn't even a legal lot.
Are you referring to the rear portion
Yeah.
of the lot? Yeah, so in reading the report from 2017, it didn't say the year, however, it did indicate in the report from 2017 that the rear portion was, quote, recently consolidated with the rest of the lot at that time. So whether it was 2016, 2017, the report didn't say, but at that time, when it came to council, the rear portion was consolidated with the front portion.
Other questions?
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else that wishes to speak to this application? Welcome. Please state your name. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Jennifer Kyle. We live at 488 Brant Oxford Road, just directly across from the schoolhouse. So I appreciate the clarification around the MDS2 and now the difference in the institutional zoning versus the rural residential zoning could be helpful. However, I think it is worth consideration of council as you make your decision that regardless of whether it's rural residential or it's institutional, if we have future plans to expand our operation, where our property is, we just built a new barn, actually, and we can't go further north. So any expansion we would have to come further south and closer to that school, regardless of whether it's a residence or whether it is remains institutional. So I think that's something worth considering. The other question or comment I would have is that the other side of the road is indeed the other municipality. So any concessions made here in Blandford-Blenheim, how does that transfer to the county of Brant? And our future, because if we are wanting to expand, we're having to go through the county of Brant, not through Blandford-Blenheim. So
Right.
we just would like you to keep that in consideration as you debate what you will do with this application, because we are the closest livestock, active livestock operation to this property. We have two teenage kids who have shown interest in being part of the farm eventually, so we want to make sure that we have the ability to continue to expand as we need to in order to accommodate those future generations to come into the farm as well. So that's my comments.
Okay. Any questions on that at all? I know it's maybe a little bit off topic, and I'm just kind of curious because you're on the other side there. When your new barn that was proposed, was the MDS setback for the culinary school, was it brought into question when you did that? I'm just curious, for clarification.
I know that we had to do the MDS2. It's a good question, George. Do you recall if they had to do the double distance or the?
Yeah.
No, there didn't have to be any changes made.
Yeah.
Okay, I just was curious because it's kind of the same thing that's happening. I just was curious, but you're actually
We
closer.
hadn't- For the barn we just built, we had enough room that we could put it where we needed to.
Sure.
But recognizing that if we want to continue to expand, we
Yep.
have to go more to the south, which brings us more directly in front of this property and
Okay.
closer to proximity.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, is there anybody else that wish to come up and speak? No? Okay, I'm not seeing any.
I have another question.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, I have another question. Dustin, if this were to stay as it's zoned now, and hypothetically speaking, they wanted to add another barn onto the property that she was just speaking about, they would have to, at this point, based on these numbers, a livestock barn would have to stay 658 meters away on this chart, sorry.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, so if it stayed the same as it is right now, if nothing else changed on the operation,
Yep.
according to the submitted calculations, it would be 646 meters from the manure storage and
Yep.
610 meters from the
Oh, yeah.
the livestock barn.
Okay.
Now, if that operation were to increase, then there's a chance that they have to be even further away if they add more livestock or more capacity on there. So that calculations would have to be done at that time to reflect the changes.
Right. And if it was rezoned, then it would obviously lessen that. It's 235 and 265 meters if it were rezoned as a residential.
As if it stayed the exact same way in terms of the operation side.
Yeah.
Down to type A would be 305 between the use and the barn, and then
Oh, sorry, I'm looking
323.
at, yeah,
323 for the manure storage and the use.
okay, okay.
And just to be clear, these numbers have been reviewed by the chief building official and confirmed to be acceptable.
Okay. Great. Anything else from council? Any more of the questions? Okay. Does the applicant or agent wish to reply to issues raised? Nope, nothing? Okay. Are there any final comments or questions from members of council? Just the one for me is when I look at, I think it's plate 4 and plate 5, that shows the circle for the MDS setback. When I look at a type B, it goes almost from Township Road 8 to past County Road 29. And when you go to the other one, it cuts pretty much through, when you go to type A, it cuts about halfway through the barn area of the Kyle farm, just past the, I believe that's the manure holding tank for the McClure farm. So to me, when I look at those two, it does make sense to me that the best way is to approve this. And as well as the comment that came from, in the recommendation as well, that this is going to be, in the opinion of staff, the subject application could be considered beneficial for agricultural by reducing the impact that the subject lands currently have on surrounding agricultural lands. That's the biggest part for me when I look at both those plates. To me, I said this, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, the same thing. I think this is actually more beneficial to both farms than a negative. So that's my comments. I don't know if anything else. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to clarify, just to be clear with the diagrams. The radiuses that you're seeing on there, that is specifically
To this.
to the north. That's using the information for the farm to the north. Every farm has a different requirement, so this isn't a blanket. It's a pretty loaded question there. Look, with the I zoning, they could look at other uses such as, say, a place of worship, for example. That's something that's permitted in the I zone. But that doesn't get away from the fact that it is still a type B use on there.
Like with some agricultural use, I don't know what it would be, like a
I don't think there's any agricultural uses in institutional that I know of.
Yeah.
oh, well, it would have to be a zone change.
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Through you, Mr. Mayor, if you're talking agricultural uses, really the only or the best way, or whatever you want to determine it to be called, would be to be returning it to agricultural land. That would be the way to get it back to agriculture. But we have to recognize what is there today, and this is a privately owned property, of course.
Yeah.
So that's their right to apply for what we're considering today.
Okay, anything else from council?
So the ideal solution would be for them to purchase the land and then they can do what they want with it.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, in terms of the ideal solution for the surrounding farmers, if they wish to, my understanding it is for sale, if they wish to approach the sellers, that is certainly their right to do so.
Okay, anything else from council? No, not seeing. Okay, this application will be dealt with by council at its regular meeting immediately following this public meeting, and I will now officially close this public meeting.
Be it hereby resolved that the public meeting be adjourned and that the regular meeting of council reconvene.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councilor Young, second by Councilor Banbury. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed, if any, and that's carried. Okay, and then you have...
I have a motion to approve?
Is that council's wish to approve or deny? Approve? Okay, go ahead.
Be it hereby resolved that the Council of the Township of Blandford-Blenheim approve the zone change application submitted by 1909 Culinary Academy Limited, whereby the lands described as Part Lot 1, Concession 7, Blenheim, Parts 1 and 2, 41R 9450 in the Township of Blandford-Blenheim are to be rezoned from General Agricultural Zone A2 and Institutional Zone I to Special Rural Residential Zone RRSP to permit a single detached dwelling.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Banbury, second by Councillor Young. Any comments? All in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's carried. It's unanimous. Okay, thank you. Okay, delegations, we have none. Correspondence, we have none. Staff reports are Ray, our Chief Building Official.
Sorry. Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor.
Welcome, Ray.
Yep. Council, if I may, I wish to give you an update as to the operations of the building department of last month. We put through 14 permits, so it's another busy month for the building department. Of course, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, any questions from council? Go ahead, Councillor Young.
I'm just wondering, Ray, on your nice chart here.
Yes.
There's some spaces that have permit fees total, but there's no numbers in there.
Yes?
I was just curious as to why those gaps.
Of course. It has been the policy of the township not to charge department. The 2 signs are going for our parks, and the septic system was for the fire hall. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Any other questions from council? Nope, not seeing any. Okay, have a resolution, please.
Be it hereby resolved that report CBO 2510 be received as information.
Okay, can I get a mover and second, please? Moved by Councillor Barnes, second by Councillor Young. Any comments? All in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's carried. Thank you, Ray.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next, Drew, our Director of Protective Services. Welcome, Drew.
Afternoon, Council. Mr. Mayor. First report is a update on the delivery of the 2 fire apparatus that we have on order. Currently, the aerial truck for Plattsville and the tanker for Drumbo. When we were down doing the pre-build for the aerial truck, there was some discussion that E1 was going to revamp their aerial line, and they have, and they've sped up production. And so that's a great thing, but for our township, we need to have the apparatus arrive in 2 different financial years. So the aerial truck, we can't back out of a time slot, so they've allocated that one. They normally do that they just did that last month, so we've been slotted in for the end of next year. And then we'll get the tanker in 2027, but approximately April or so. Just an update that they are in order, they're just going to come in a different order to the township. So.
Any questions from council? I'm sure the boys will be excited to see that aerial truck come.
Absolutely.
Until they get way up on top, but then they might be excited in a different way.
Make sure you're the first.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Might be the last. Okay, go ahead.
Be it hereby resolved that report FC 2517 be received as information.
Okay, can I get a mover and second, please? Moved by Councillor Young, second by Councillor Banbury. Any comments? All in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's carried. Okay, and your next report.
Yeah, my monthly report for September. Just update on some happenings with the department. We were at the farm show there. We got to see many faces, some council members there. The mayor was there, but 35,000 people went through the doors. So we were able to get a lot of fire prevention material out, as well as meet a lot of local farm people and agriculture. So that was fantastic. We've been working, as you know, the roads in Princeton, they were right in front of the fire station, so we were working with them during September so that the trucks could still respond. We've worked on our air cylinders back in 2020. They did a big purchase for the township of all the packs and the cylinders. And every 5 years, they are due for hydrostatic testing to make sure they're up to quality, which means we have to empty the air, take them down to Tilsonburg, they get tested, we bring them back, fill them with air, and then redistribute them to the different stations. So that's been completed as part of the NFP mandate. We met with all our officers, our chiefs in September. We normally don't do that during the summer, so just to come up to speed on how the summer went and just to lay out the groundwork for the rest of the year, which is closing quickly. And we finished off with recruitment night. Thank you for everyone from the stable that was able to attend that. We have some very good applicants. Bright did their interviews last night, and Drumbo's doing theirs tonight. So we should be able to announce something very shortly on that front as well. So the only one thing coming up that we have is our recognition night. So hopefully you can join us. And we just finished, it was Fire Prevention Week last week, so we just wrapped that up too. So with that, that's the monthly report for September.
Okay, thank you very much, Drew. Any questions on the report from council? Nope, I'm not seeing any. Okay, go ahead.
Be it hereby resolved that report FC 2518 be received as information.
Okay, can I get a mover and seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Young, second by Councillor Barnes. Any comments? All in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's carried. Thank you very much. And next is our Director of Public Works, Jim Borton, please. Welcome, Jim.
Afternoon, Council. I just have the one report. This is in regards to the gas line that will be hooked up at the station on Oxford Road 22, run down Township Road 2 to Cedar Master. The Ontario Energy Board has approved the Cedar Master request for a standalone station. I brought forward that, I believe it was last year. This is just kind of an update. We did have it moved further east. We did have some residents bring up a concern that it was too close to the residents. That has been moved. They have reviewed the plans and are in favor of it. So this will allow Cedar Master to feed their greenhouses with natural gas.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Councillor Banbury.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, any idea when the construction will take place, the installation of them?
Once this, my understanding is once the Energy Board, once we've done our third reading of the bylaw, everything else is approved, it will be up to Cedar Master to arrange for that construction. This time of year, I would guess it would probably be spring of next year.
It's been quite a long drawn-out procedure.
It has,
Yeah.
yes.
It's been several years since we toured that place, for sure. Yeah. Okay, any other questions from council at all? Nope. Okay, go ahead.
Be it hereby resolved that report PW 2517 be received as information, and further that council proceed with a third reading of bylaw 2306, 2022.
Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Banbury, second by Councillor Young. Any comments? All in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and our next report is Trevor Bear, our Manager of Community Services. Welcome, Trevor.
Here to do report CS 25-19, adult and youth drop-in programming. In the past, we've done some adult and youth drop-in programming between partnerships between the Lions clubs and other community groups. We're just going to explore that option again with council's direction. We'd like to move forward with reinstating some of these programs if we can, as long as we dot our T's and cross our, or dot our I's and cross our T's and make sure that everything's good that way. And just looking for direction from council to move forward with doing these programmings again and other programs throughout the township too for family programs and stuff like that. So just in our halls and stuff that we can help with kind of get the groups together to see what we can do.
Okay, thank you, Trevor. Any questions from council? Nope, not. Councillor Banbury?
Mr. Mayor, do we get paid by these groups at all, or is this kind of a combination of we supply the building and
Yeah, we more.
how does that work?
So in the past, the adult drop-in centers happened at the arena, the Princeton Hall, and the Drumbo Maple Grove Center here. Didn't get paid at all, no. We just helped. The Lions Club, the Plaza Lions Club helped, Friends of Princeton Park help run the program. We offer the building, and if they need some extra help, we sometimes send some staff down to help with it. And then the youth programming was we go to the schools, try to get the gyms for free, and we send one staff member up there to administrate it, and then we get the Lions Club to help run programming inside.
Sounds good. Excellent.
Any other questions from council? Nope. Okay, go ahead.
Be it hereby resolved that report CS 2519 be received as information, and further, that council authorize staff to proceed with the planning and development of both adult and youth drop-in centers with community family programs in partnership with community groups, schools, and volunteers.
Okay, could I get a mover and a seconder, please? By Councillor Barnes, second by Councillor Young. Any comments? Go ahead, Councillor Young.
It won't surprise any of you that I'm really excited to see this report, and I think it's a great opportunity to kind of get out of the COVID world that we had kind of got stuck in and build that community back. So I think this is awesome. I'm really excited to see what comes of it. Thanks, Trevor.
Any other comments from council? Yeah, it's the same with me. I've had a few seniors especially asking me, you know, what kind of things are there for me to do here? And some other, and I'm looking forward to, as you say, let's kick the COVID away and move on. I think they, if I remember rightly, they were pretty well attended before.
Yeah, we had good attendance, and
Yeah.
and the Lions Club did a great job of
Yep.
doing crafts and games, and
Yep.
Friends of Princeton Park did crafts and games, and
Yep.
and the school board for the youth stuff, yeah, was good. The youth programming was really well attended. So.
Yep, absolutely. Councillor Young.
Sorry, I just want to add too that we've had a lot of change in our community members over the last 5 years as well. So I think it's a really good opportunity. We saw even in the summer that people were coming out that were new to the community and didn't know how to kind of get engaged. If you haven't lived here forever, it's hard to sometimes make those connections.
Yeah.
So I can see if you moved here as a senior, that would be challenging as well, maybe to find some of those connections. So I think with some new community members, we have, and our current and previous ones, I think we have a really good opportunity to form some different relationships with people. So
Yeah.
I think it's great.
If we can do maybe do a Facebook post or something like that, and then we'll make sure it gets shared across all the community groups as well, so we can get hopefully get it out to as many people as we possibly can. Okay, thank you, Trevor. Okay. Yep, all those in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's carried. Okay, and our last report is from our CEO, Josh Brick.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to members of council, this is a follow-up report from the delegation that council received on September 17th from the president of the Plattsville and District Lions Club requesting naming rights to the Plattsville Pavilion. Within the report, we provide a brief analysis of the asset naming policy that was approved by council in 2021, in addition to sort of our customary practices with respect to asset naming, specifically in comparable situations. And the conclusion really has to do with, while the request technically falls within the scope of the asset naming policy, insofar that council has the ability to name any asset based on that inventory within the policy, it really doesn't align with our customary practices of how we've gone about naming assets, specifically representing these local service clubs. So just with respect to the sort of customary practices from the township in recent time, a few of the examples that we provided some discussion on were the Friends of Princeton Park Sports Pad and Open Space Park, the Drumbo Park Lions Pavilion, and the Drumbo Park Lions Splash Pad. And the common theme across all of those projects had to do with heavy fundraising efforts and sort of project initiation coming from the service clubs. They really weren't de facto naming sort of recognitions. And just as a result of that, that inconsistency in our customary practice, staff are recommending that council not approve the request from the September 17th meeting. With that being said, an option that we could consider would be reaching out to or following up with the Plattsville and District Lions Club and sort of obviously communicating this position, but also expanding on sort of alternative approaches that could be made to find naming rights, whether that's fundraising efforts for local community assets, or making a long-term sort of formal commitment to perhaps funding an asset management reserve to replace an existing asset rather than building it in the first place. So I think there's some options there for that discussion to carry on. We certainly recognize the great work that the many service clubs in our communities do. We don't mean to discount that at all in this recommendation. It just doesn't align with the customary practices that we've followed here in recent times. And with that said, happy to answer any questions that council might have.
Okay, any questions from council? No, not seeing any. Okay, go ahead.
Be it hereby resolved that report CAO 2526 be received as information, and further, that council does not approve the Plattsville and District Lions Club request as presented and received at the September 17th, 2025 regular meeting of council.
Okay, any comments from, sorry, can I move a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Young, seconded by Councillor Banbury. Any comments? Go ahead, Councillor Young.
After reading the report and speaking with Trevor, I think there's a lot of potential opportunities for some future projects for the Plattsville Lions, and to look at some of those opportunities I think would be beneficial to look at for the community. And I'm sure that he and they have had those conversations as well. So although maybe this isn't the route, but I think there's other possibilities in the community.
Yep. Any other comments from councillor? Yeah, I'm a Lions member in Drumble, so I definitely see how much work all of our service clubs do, and it's fantastic what they do. But I do agree with the approach that you've had when you look at the report and look at the things that some of our service groups have done and the amount of money that they've raised to get these functions off the ground. I think it's by keeping that level playing field, and not to say that they haven't, but if they start off a new project somewhere down the road, 100%, we would more than gladly have their name and everything on it. So not to say that they're not going to, but hopefully that's the route they continue on down the road and keep it a level and same playing field for everybody. So, okay, anything else? All in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's carried. Okay, and any reports from council members? I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Nope, I can't think of anything. Nobody? Okay, unfinished business, motions, notice of motion, new business, closed session, bylaws, please.
Be it hereby resolved that the following bylaws be now read a first and second time. Bylaw 2516, 2025, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 1360, 2002 as amended, ZN 12506. Bylaw 2517, 2025, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council.
Okay, can I get a mover and seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Young, seconded by Councillor Banbury. All in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's carried. And third reading, please.
Be it hereby resolved that the following bylaws be now read a third and final time. Bylaw 2306, 2022, being a bylaw to authorize a franchise agreement between the Corporation of the Township of Blandford-Blenheim and Sedum Master Incorporated. B, bylaw 2516, 2025, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 1360, 2002 as amended for ZN 12506. And C, bylaw 2517, 2025, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council.
Okay, mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Banbury, second by Councillor Barnes. All in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's carried. Anything under other? Nope. Okay, and adjournment to our next meeting.
Whereas business before council has been completed at 4:54 p.m., be it hereby resolved that council adjourn to meet again on Wednesday, November 5th, 2025 at 4 p.m.
Okay, can I get a mover and seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Barnes, second by Councillor Young. All in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's carried. Thank you, council and staff.